Welcome back to episode 44. This is another That Millwall podcast, and I am joined by my regular co-host, feeling a bit of a cold. It's not COVID. Don't panic. Don't put your mask on while you're listening. It's definitely not COVID. It's just a common cold, one of those things we had many years ago, which are now resurfacing, a bit like a pair of your dad's flares trousers. But look, we're welcome to one and only Omar. How you doing, fella?
I'm all right, pal. Yourself?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. I'm good now. I don't have the cold, but I've obviously passed it to you, and now it's your turn to be suffering and sniffing and runny nose and feeling shit. And yeah, I had that last week. So
the sniffles are definitely prevalent at the moment. And welcome to edition number 45, not 44, Mickey. But I'll allow you one. It's okay. It's all good.
It don't matter. This is going to be probably one of our best shows ever. There is going to be no negativity. There is no going to be, what camp you're in and all that. We're going to celebrate one hell of a fucking display by Millwall this week against a very, very average QPR. Join us back in part 2 straight after this. Come on, tell us, what was it like seeing a Millwall playing in a reminiscence of Barcelona in its prime?
Wow, what a comparison that is. Firstly, you're saying part 2, and I understand it's technically the second part of the show already because you split up the intro.
Sorry,
but
part 1.
Throw me up a little bit, but we'll go part 2. It's all right. We'll go exotic today. I'm giving you the reins because I feel like I'm gonna have to keep muting myself. But mate, yeah, what performance on Tuesday night? I think you're saying positivity or negativity. I think we're actually quite level-headed at the best of times. To be fair to us, like we're not. I think when we feel like enough is enough, I admit when there's Blackpool away, that was a turning point for me at the time, in a sense that we didn't play with any ambition or kind of desire to go for it. Fast forward to Tuesday night at home to QPR, off the back of a decent win against Cardiff that me and Kai covered the other night, and I thought we both kind of was not lost for words after Cardiff, but we just couldn't quite narrow down how it went down. We felt like, Cardiff were there for the taking and we just won the game and we got one over them, fortunately, on the day. But fast forward to Tuesday, and that is exactly what we all want as Mill supporters. On the front foot, exciting football. Not necessarily, when I define exciting football, it's just ambition to attack the opposition and go for the game. I know it sounds stupid, but we don't do that enough under the manager. And we're doing it now. And if that's what we're getting served up on a weekly basis, come win or lose or draw, come rain or shine, as the saying goes, we'll be there because that's what we want to see. That is exactly the definition of football, Mickey, for us, that Millwall suit. And yeah, the 2 goals were class. And I think we'll obviously touch on that in a bit more detail in a minute. But just the performance and the pressing levels and how high we pressed up the pitch and players running from side to side on the pitch and just putting 100% in. That's all we ask for as Millwall fans.
Absolutely. That is all we ask for. And the reason why you'll get a couple of mistakes with me quoting the wrong show and part 2 and all that is because we record it live. We don't really do lots of edit like some shows. We just record live, and if we fuck up, we fuck up. But no, it's Tuesday. Fly on the wall, yeah. I think, there's been a couple of turning points, but Peterborough, Blackpool, okay, fine. But yeah, listen, if they play like they did, win, lose or draw, that's all we want as Millwall fans. And I mean, I saw some, quite a few stuff over the weekend and that from obviously another show where there was quite a negative tinge on some of the comments that were made, previous and stuff. But look, that's all we want. All we want is people to go out there, play for that badge, and win, lose or draw. The same thing what's happened across Millwall for decades and decades and decades and decades. We're a working class club with working class roots, and we pay a lot of money to come and see you. And as long as you play like that every week, we couldn't care less if you get beat 6-0 every week. As long as you play like that and leave everything on that pitch, fucking game on, mate. Game on. And yeah, they looked hungry from probably about 10 minutes in when they suddenly settled in and they just looked like they were never going to lose that.
Even the first minute when Matt Lamara had the chance, mate. And to talk back to your point about positivity, negativity, other channels and all that sort of stuff. it's the best thing ever doing this podcast, and I love it, and it's great, you know, to get the interactions with people. At the same time, our voices are out there to be heard by everyone. It's not the same. We like to try and liken ourselves to the post-match pint having at the pub,
Yeah.
and it's where you wear your heart on your sleeve, and that is the crux of it. You know, we're kind of heat at the moment because we're football fans, and you know, we're delusional at the best of times, and that's the way it works with this. And also, our opinions is broadcasted out there. So, like, you know, of course, and I'll speak on behalf of everyone else that does this sort of content. Like, when shit is shit, it's hard to talk about it in a positive light, and that is the facts of it. But then when you've got these wins like this and the performances to back it up, you feel a bit contradictory to then come on and start being positive about it. But at the same time, it's because my opinion is not behind closed doors or over a pint in a pub. It's on here. Of course, you're going to look a bit kind of like two-faced, but we don't do it for the views because we're not bothered about trying to get titles and stuff. But at the same time, of course, we're going to be kind of contradictory of what we say, especially when the team is as contradictory as they are ourselves. Does that make sense?
Yeah. We could go for the views, and we could just cut our show into about 18 different parts and just put them all out singly. We could do that, but we're not there for that. Look, the way we've always wanted to do it from and before we went on doing the show, we pre-planned it for a couple of years, talking about what we wanted and making sure that what we wanted to do was right. And what we wanted to do was basically, we're just two fellas sitting in a pub, really having a chat after the game, and that's it. And I understand that if we do a recording on a Saturday night or a Tuesday night straight after the game, our passion and our views are slightly different if we slept on it for 24 hours and done it on the following day. And we record these shows slightly different, but I think that the views are still the same. Win, lose or draw, we'll always follow Millwall. I think that if we backed everything what they ever done, praised them, praised the management, the board, the directors, the players, everything else, week in, week out, I think you basically get bored of us. So hopefully what you hear from us is truth, and it's the same sort of view what you have. You're never, ever going to agree with us 24/7, especially with me. I talk a lot of bollocks. Most people know that. Most people who know me know that. But I am passionate about the club. I do love the club. I love Millwall through and through. And that's why I have Omar on, because Omar's got the football knowledge, what necessarily I don't. So we pretty much bounce off each other. But, you know, when we're shit, but fucking Tuesday night was
top draw.
It was something what we needed. Do you know what I mean? It was basically like, you know, in the words of Snoop Dogg, mate, that was a lovely big blunt being given there, mate. And he was just sitting there sucking on a big one, mate, because that was the best pint of Guinness you could get, the best fucking bottle of wine. That was something what was needed for a long, long time. We needed to see that actually they get us. They understand what we want. And looking at the post-match interviews, what were on recast with the Millwall, you listen to Bennett, you listen to Jed especially, and you can sense that they felt good. Going into that game, they felt good. And that game, it was theirs. No one else was going to do it. I mean,
we're a squad that's together, that's for sure. And I think, you know, it's easy to question it. You know, form has not been great, especially on the road of late. And that's definitely something we need to put right starting on Saturday, which I know we'll talk about more in more detail soon. And that is the key of it. You know, just consistency is what we've been lacking all season. And that's the third time this season we won back-to-back league games. The key now is to try and do one better and try and win 3 games in a row for the first time this season, which is crazy to think. You know, we're 28, 29 games into the season and we've not won more than 2 games on the bounce. And that is ultimately what's been our kind of downfall this whole season. And yeah, I mean, we could, you know, we'll delve into the game obviously a bit, but, you know, we're recording this on Thursday night. If we're going out Friday, I think if you wanted to hear about the game, you've probably heard about it already at this point. You know, it's for us, it's just obviously the performance itself, you know, it was good. It was amazing even. Like QPR come to town off the back of a poor defeat at Barnsley. And obviously the onus is on them to try and turn that around. From the first minute, like I mentioned, McNamara at the back post, I think Malone down the left, you know, neat work with Jeds. Ball goes in the box, McNamara at the back post. I'm thinking this is his chance, written in the headlines. And I think he thought it himself at the time, Mickey, didn't he?
Yeah,
like, this is my moment to try and be a Millwall hero, score my first ever goal for the club at the Den. And he just shanks it into, I think, the upper tier at the end.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was shocking that from him. But you know, we weren't made to miss it or made to rue it. And I think that first half, you know, albeit it was 0-0 at half time, we knocked on the door on multiple occasions. Jed Wallace had a brilliant chance midway through the half. I think it was scooped back in from a set piece. He's on the edge of the 18-yard line from the left side. Forces a good save out of Marshall. And we just kept persisting knocking on the door. There was times where QPR maybe had moments. I think that Elias Chair is a good play, carried the ball a few times in the first half. And then second half, mate, the rest was history.
Yeah, the second. I mean, the first half, I think we just controlled the centre of the pitch. They were defending really deep, and we were just controlling it. We were still knocking the ball around. We were getting chances, and we just looked comfortable on the ball. And I'll come, you know, we'll come to that in a little bit. Why possibly we were, but yeah, half time, players went in. Fuck knows what Gary said to them or whoever said whatever they did. They came out and they just upped the switch, upped the intensity even more.
I think the second half, mate, what was key is like we had a lot less of the ball, but it was when we had it, play with intensity, get the ball forwards. And that was demonstrated with both the goals, really. I think especially the first. You know, Jed gets it from deep on. I think Hutchinson intercepts it on the right hand side, runs forward with it. Me and Kai spoke about it in our last show, saying why are the centre backs not getting forward anymore from the wide positions? Well, the chain was unleashed on Tuesday night. The shackles were definitely taken off, where they were just bombing up the pitch. There was a couple of times where Wallace won the ball and bombed on the left side. Same with Hutchinson on the right side. Wins the ball this occasion, and then he picks out Jed's great pass, and then Jed like plays an unbelievable ball over the top to Malone. It was kind of like reminiscent. A lot of people said it of the Blackburn game where Ballard plays it over the top to Malone, and then Wallace is on the end of Malone's cross. But this time it's Bennett on the end of it. Great pick out at the far post and a finish with a plum, mate. Brilliant.
Yeah, and there's some good videos with the reverse angle of that shot, and even Copper 90s picked it up because obviously they've seen the power of the retweet and all that lot. But it's, you know, maybe we'll get it out there as well, possibly. But it's superb from that corner flag where obviously the Millwall had the cameraman doing their shots. It was just superb. Mm-hmm. You just see him get it, and you just knew that before that ball even left what's his name's foot, as soon as it was coming in, you knew that was going in. It was one of those moments where you just knew, no matter who was there, it was going in that goal. It was just absolute sweet. The passing before it, everything else was just nailed on.
Fair play to Bennett as well, because I think that's his third goal in 4 at home or three at home. I think he scored he's on a little run now, and he's become quite a vocal point in the team. And obviously with Phobe's injury and Burt going off injured in the first half, which we've not touched on yet, I think he's going to be relied on for the few games to come. And it's scary to say that because we know what his injury record's like since he's been with us and in his career in general. Like, he's probably wrapped up in cotton wool right now going up to Blackburn, and we're just praying that nothing happens to him on Saturday, because I think he's demonstrated he's kind of got this kind of poacher's nous. And I think in these interviews that you mentioned on Recast, he says the manager's been telling him to stay within the goalposts. And he's typically been a player that likes to play out wide or get in wide areas and run with the ball. No, let's forget about that. Let's touch on the ball, but be more effective in the opposition's box. And yeah, fair play to him.
It's working.
I think he's doing something right, ain't he?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he's 3 goals in the last 4, and he's doing well there, and he seems to be enjoying his football. Like he said on the thing, he's enjoying his football. The crowd are taking to him really well. He's really, I think, got the crowd on side now. He is a traditional Millwall player, and he gives it all. He'd go through people, he'd chase stuff down. You know, I think the best thing is, someone said to me the other day, is that no wonder he don't play full 90 minutes when his work rate is what it is. Do you know what I mean?
He's battery on full charge, ain't he? He's non-stop.
He's fucking. He's a fucking Duracell Benny, mate, on fucking amphetamine. Do you know what I mean?
What was the saying that the alternative commentary said? Crashing beamers and scoring screamers. If he keeps scoring the screamers, long may that continue. Because it's not even they look good. Like they're smart finishes. Like the goals that he's scoring, the head at the back post on Saturday, easy to miss, but he managed to get on target. And again on Tuesday night, it's come at him at pace. He's managed to just guide it left foot into the corner and made it look so easy, mate. And I think, going up to Blackburn, a team that have kind of dipped in form recently, and they'll be keen to try and get back to winning ways. We'll talk about it more towards the end of this show. But kind of confident all of a sudden. It's crazy. And the players are showing that confidence on the pitch.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? I wouldn't, you wouldn't think this late in the season that you suddenly, with being unconfident most of the season, to now suddenly feeling confident going into the last load of games, going, do you know what? If this is what we've got in our tank, then you know what, we could open up this run into the end of the season. We could open it up right up.
So you have to get carried away, don't you?
No. I'm not. No.
I'm gonna call you five for
I'm
the
not.
rest of the show.
Listen, I'm not saying we're going to get playoffs. I'm not saying that at all. But I do
Yes, you
think
are.
that no, I'm not. I'm not at all. I'm not at all, mate. But what I'm saying is that I just want that positivity to stay, and the team looked one on Saturday. You know, the passing, the keeping hold of the ball, not giving it away, not doing the back passing, what they're always fucking doing. You know, fucking up in the opposition. Oh well, we pass right away back to fucking Bart, and then we fucking try and get it back down, or Bart sit down, and we fuck it up. I just thought it was great. I suppose the only negativity we got is our two new signings are both out long term now with hamstring.
Correct. But in a weird way, yeah, obviously, I'll tell you on that first, obviously, it's a shame to see them both injured. I think Freeman could have been a good little fit, but obviously Wallace is coming to the side now, and we seem to have kind of found the formation that works. And I think the manager said after the game, this is the interview, it's easy to say after on the back of a great performance like that, and he labelled it as one of his best since he's come to the club. It's easy to say, oh, this is what we wanted to do because you've won the game and you're back-to-back wins. I get it. But if that's what he wanted to see and he saw the vision there, Wallace being fit, and the downside of Burt going off is obviously he's injured and he's out for next 5 to 6 games supposedly. That's come out today. But step forward, Tyler Bury, mate, and wow, unbelievable finish. Obviously, like we said, 2 well-worked goals. I think it's again down the right-hand side, intercepted, and then next thing you know, Jed's flicked the ball onto Bury. Superb flick, by the way. And Oriah Sir Jed Wallace, like I said on my tweet post-game, we've missed you. And that is the Jed we've missed. And I wasn't convinced that the number 10 position would be great for him, playing in the hole between the midfield and forward line. But I was quickly put to wrong there. If you think of Jed when we first signed him, he was a right winger, likes to get his boots covered in white chalk, so to speak, hugging the touchline and, trying to beat his man and put the ball in the box. But he's developed so much as a player during these 5-6 years here at the Den. He's showed his true value there. But enough about Jed, because yes, of course, great influence on the goals, and no one ever doubt him. But Bury, mate, takes his goal with aplomb. What a finish, cutting in on his right and burying it past the defender and past the keeper. I was right behind it in the Cobler Lane end, in the Jeremy Carl stand.
Who thought he was going to lose it?
What a finish.
I thought when he done that cutback, I thought, no, what are you doing?
It's my mate, yeah.
Pass it. What are you doing? But do you know what that also shows? Is the confidence that lad must have in training. Correct. That Jed just went, do you know what? Because Jed had a chance. He could have potentially done it slightly different, turned the player. He could have had and he didn't. He just knew that if the ball went over to Bury's going to score it.
Faith in your team,
that's just for a young lad. That's just an unbelievable goal for your first goal in front of Coldblow Lane or Jeremy Kyle. In front of that stand was probably that's everybody's dream, isn't it? If you could play for Millwall, your first goal would be in front of Coldblow Lane, and that ticks all the boxes, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? That is just unbelievable. If you haven't seen his goal and you've been living in a fucking box, then it's on social media. I think we've retweeted one of the people's tweets and whatnot. But if you look at it, it is an unbelievable goal for someone so young in immense pressure, and the way he cut round the player and cut back in, everybody in that stand I think thought, shit, what are you doing? But no, head screwed on, controlled it properly and just fucking smashed it.
Brilliant finish. I think the thing is, you say young, he's 21. Like, that's still young. I 100% agree with you. And, if I'm in that position playing in front of Millwall fans, going into the Cobler Lane end, I'm obviously being a Millwall fan, I'm probably shitting myself and levering it as hard as I can and hoping it just hits the target. But he just showed the class. And, he's been in and around the setup now, since just before COVID. That's when he was in the team. And then I remember him, obviously, he had a good cup run last year, played at Bournemouth, had a decent game. And he's had moments, he came on against Middlesbrough when we lost 3-0 earlier in the season. Oh, no, last season, sorry. And showed glimpses. He's just got this raw pace and talent. But I've not really seen the consistency from him that we're seeing now. And I think God knows how good he'd have been. Like, he's still good now, don't get me wrong, and a brilliant performance on Tuesday. But if he was fit the whole of the first half of the season and playing at Hartlepool, we all saw the 3 goals he scored there. Unbelievable finishes in them games. But if he played consistency up until January, maybe there might be a big price tag on his head and people being interested in Mickey, because he's showing some real talent there, and also, like you said, confidence. And for someone, relatively inexperienced with league appearances, he's just playing with no fear. And I just hope that doesn't get coached out of him. I hope he just plays the same way he's playing now and consistently just play for fun. And like, I labelled him like the Paul Ifill, didn't I, after one of the home games?
I was just about to say that.
That is that to me. That is it. No fear. You don't know what you're going to get. Sometimes you're going to get good. Sometimes you're going to get bad. But we gave him an hour to play the other night, and he duly delivered. Fair play to him.
I was going to ask you that bit, because I saw a tweet that someone did over the weekend who turned around and said, "Can this be our next Paul Ifill?" He's, you don't know what you're going to get every game. He could score an absolute peach. He could be fucking superb. He might not be. But yeah, I mean, maybe that's a question out for everyone listening. Get involved, give us a message back. But I know it's early, but he's definitely showing signs that he could well be that Paul Ifill type player. What we definitely need in the side.
I labelled it, didn't I? After, I can't remember what game it was when he came on. I thought it for a little while. It's just because he gets the fans excited and wants to get off their seat. Sorry, when they're, when he's on the ball and he's looking to take a man on. That is the kind of excitement level we want from a Millwall winger or a Millwall attacker, and he has that in abundance. Like, you want to get on the edge of your seat, thinking, what's he going to do now? And I think there'll be games where he frustrates us. And there's plenty of wingers at Millwall. James Henry comes to mind. Paul Ifill. Players that frustrate you and you're thinking, cool, what is this? But what you get from them sometimes is unbelievable moments. And that is what Tyler Bury did the other night. And it is too early to heap pressure onto him or expectations. But, I liken it almost to, albeit he was only 16, 17 when he scored for United, Rashford, right, came on as a sub in the Europa League, got his opportunity because there was injuries to 4 or 5 players. Yeah. And then look at Rashford now. And I'm not expecting Bury to go on to anywhere near the lengths of that, but the opportunity is there for him. He's not hidden away from it. He's not shirked it. And he's took it with both hands and said, hang on, that's mine. That's my opportunity to impress. And he's done it. And I think after the game, Wright said, he's been knocking on my door for a while saying, I'm ready, Gaffer. I'm ready to play. He certainly is on that kind of performance, mate. 100%.
It's just hopefully that we do. I know that Gary said that they didn't send him back out because they see something in him. Well, yeah, we're starting to see something in him too. And, he needs to be playing a lot more games. And hopefully he gets that opportunity and he goes forward.
Well, he's going to when there's injuries in the squad. So that's for sure.
And, yeah, he's just, fucking absolutely superb, isn't he? That's just... there's nothing else. I mean, that goal was just... It was as if everything was aligned, wasn't it, on Tuesday? We've had, the Cardiff win.
Sorry to cut in there. What was strange was we didn't really feel too much pressure from QPR either, and it was kind of a reminiscent of the Millwall of hard to beat and hard to score against on Tuesday night. I don't know if you can call QPR on a bad day, but at the same time, you only play what's in front of you, and it was a good performance all round, mate. And there was other players that stood out. I thought Mitchell was good. Keith Bell quality again. And the same for the whole defence. Probably our worst player, I think someone said it the other day, was Bielkowski because he had hardly anything to do. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy.
Yeah, Billy was good. Keith is just coming into his own. That's the player. Again, what Rowett said, that's the player I've seen and the player I wanted. And now he's starting to become instrumental in the team, isn't he? He's starting to really hold that position. And I tell you, how long is it going to be before he scores a 30, 40 yards fucking screamer? Because that's got to be coming. Yeah. He keeps having the chances, doesn't he? I think there's going to be a screamer there at some point. But look, if you can get a few of those scoring goals, mate, then it all adds up, doesn't it? Is the pressure eased from going into Saturday with the fact that they knew they didn't have a striker? So they knew they didn't have any proven strikers. So the team was going to have to work together to try and find goals. And because of that, it was attacking football. Everyone was up for it, game for it.
It's weird because, like I said the other night, me and Kai were talking and said we don't really see the wing backs get forward that much either. And from the first minute, the intention was there. And I think it's as much the manager as it is the players in this scenario. That is the benchmark now, and that is the. And I agree with you. Like, maybe the circumstances, backs against the wall, the expectation is not really there. Just put the shift in, the hard yards in, and see where it takes us. That's Millwall over, isn't it? And I think the key is now to try and capture that mentality as long as you can. When you have a full squad available, forget all the hopes and expectations. Just give us the bare minimum of run into your last breath, run into your last kick, and just put that 110% effort that we want. And hopefully, because let's be honest, we've all said this is probably one of our most talented squads. If we're working hard and we're doing the hard work, the talent that we all believe we have will start to show in the side. And that's all you ask for. And I think that's what happened Tuesday. First half, we huffed and puffed, had a couple of moments, like I said. But because of sheer desire and sheer determination to win, pressing up the pitch when we had to, the quality started to show through when we needed it most. And I think that's the recipe we need now. And 15 games to go, one game at a time, just keep putting them performances in, mate.
I think that's it. Treat every game as a cup final, isn't it? That's the old cliche. The cliche is treat every game as a cup final. But on Tuesday, we turned up for a London derby. I've got a pal, one of my customers who's a massive QPR fan. And I was texting him through the game, and he was just saying, this was an embarrassment. We just didn't turn up for a fucking London derby when we should have done. And he was, really, really gutted with it. I was taking the piss out of him all the time. Do you know what I mean? Saying, kept texting him after we score. What's the score? And he's going, you fucking know what the score is and all this. But I just think we needed it. We needed it against the London derby. We needed the players to show us that there's something they've got, what we know they've got, but we just needed to see it. And we definitely saw it. And I think, hey, this doesn't stop us still questioning some of Rowett's tactics, and it doesn't stop us, talking about a few bits and pieces what have been going on and off the pitch. But at the moment, mate, that is if that's how he wants them to play, and he can get them to play like that now going forward, week in, week out, then he's gonna, he's gonna bring himself back in favour quite rapidly if that's the way he wants to play it, because that was nice, exciting. Edge of seat,
power and hunger,
power, hunger, passion. That was definitely, mate, absolutely.
Because I agree with you, and it's true. But you said there the players turned up, the fans turned up with the atmosphere, but not everyone turned up on Tuesday. I thought would be an interesting topic, Mickey, there, just to deviate a little bit. And also tie it into the presence of our chairman the last two games. I mean, obviously, I suppose if your players want to show up and perform, and your manager wants to put the best efforts in, John Belson needs to be here for 46 games a season, as far as I'm concerned. If that's how we're going to play with him in the stand, I don't think that is. I think it's a coincidence that's what's happened. But I thought the atmosphere was good on Tuesday because the players brought us into the game. But there was a lot of empty seats in the Den, which I thought, it's quite hard times at the minute. But also because of the football we've been offered, it's been shit. And I don't blame people for umming and ahhing about coming, especially when, they're thinking, is it worth it financially? But I tell you now, if you weren't there Tuesday, and that's what we're going to get promised and played every week, it's worth your time getting down the Den and just be involved. Do you know what I mean? Because if we get behind this team and they play like every week, it's a recipe for success long term, definitely.
It is. But just behaving on the pitch isn't the be end and end all of it. There's a lot going on off the pitch and under, walking into a huge police presence inside the stadium, the way that fans have been treated, the way that, bits and pieces have been going on.
I'm not against. I agree with you, Mickey. But the thing is, right, and I feel this too. We have bugbears and issues. Some of them are more present consistently throughout the season, but once you win 4 or 5 games in a row, them issues go away till you lose 4 or 5 games in a row again, if that makes sense. I'm not saying like a lot of people have valid issues and things are not coming. I totally get that, but I'm saying the people that shirked off going Tuesday because they thought we were going to get battered or they just couldn't be asked to go because we've been playing shit. I'm just saying we're not after Tuesday night. If that's how we're playing and that's the way we're going to go, it's too early to judge. Like you said, no one's kind of getting carried away with it. But if we have that kind of consistent support week in, week out, and we get offered that, I think we're going to go a long way to where we want to be one day.
Oh,
No?
I totally agree with you. No, I totally agree with you. I think you're right, and I don't think necessarily people shirked off. I just think that people are pissed off with dealing with the same boring football we've had for such a long time.
Yeah,
And I agree with you. Yeah,
That's
and I agree with you that if we get to watch the football what we got on Tuesday, win, lose or draw, then people will back the team. It's just, yeah, I think a lot of the posts what happened on Tuesday, where you saw a lot of people tweeting before the game, going, "There's no fucking way I'm going all the way down to Den. It takes fucking 4 hours to get, to get there. This, that, and the other." To watch the boring shit we got, and then all of a sudden, what we haven't done compared to some out there is basically contradicted everything what we've been saying the last 6-10 weeks, where we've been going, right, to cunt, he's got to fucking go, he's fucking crock of shit and all that, to then going, right, really good, he made great substitutes and done all this, it is what it is. Look, the players just gelled, mate. The players just fucking worked together on Tuesday, and things were aligned. There's lots of things there what probably all gelled into place. It sounds as if the players are clicking on training. It sounds as if they're having fun. And I think going in not having a proven striker probably worked as well, because it just gave them that we are going to be the underdogs. We don't have a fucking striker, lads. What are we going to do? We've got to work together to try and create, opportunities. There's no big man up the front that we can throw the ball to or do this, do that. We've just got to try and work. And that's what happened. They worked together and they produced magic. And, when I sat there jokingly said, it was a sign of Barcelona. It was a joke. It's been on Twitter. A few people have posted it. But when they're working together, it just flows so well. Those passing, what was there? 6, 7, 8, 9 passes before the goal, and it just works.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with you. Good. It's true. And I think
what's your message? What's on your phone?
Neatly move on to Berylson, like I said, because he was at the game on Tuesday and Saturday, and I thought his statement. And you read it, right? Have you seen it?
You're going to read this statement.
I'm not going to read it in full, but have you seen it? Have you heard it?
Yeah. I question whether or not. I question whether or not it was John Berylson's statement, but yeah, I read the statement. Yeah,
he would have approved it, wouldn't he? I'm sure he would have.
Definitely. Yes, he would have approved it. Yes, ghostwriting is a popular thing nowadays. So yeah, go on.
So whether or not he wrote it word for word, or whether or not he said it word for word, he still would have approved it and said yes. I would say that. So
sorry, I'm being cynical.
We'll assume there, but I think it was interesting because obviously
I'll get a phone call tomorrow.
He done his typical spiel of like we need fans at the games and if we want to compete,
a bit like what you did a minute ago.
So it's similar because like mine's not necessarily motivated to the incentive of financials for Millwall, because of course that's an underlying issue. We need more fans, more seats on more bums on seats, as the saying goes. Blah blah blah. However, I just say I think if people that were shirking it and didn't want to go Tuesday, look past that, because we're going to places.
You're going to get abuse for that, you know that. I reckon there's going to be. I reckon there'll be a few people comments going, "I ain't fucking shirking it," blah blah blah. But hey ho, you said it, not me.
No, I don't mean. You know what I mean. Anyway, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. People know what I meant there, and my point is,
I paid the hook. I've thrown it out there.
Yeah, my point was and is like that. Like, if you couldn't be asked to go Tuesday because you're worried about performance, trust me when I say that performance on Tuesday was worthy of going to the game and turning up for it. I do question, obviously, if money's tight and stuff, it's 32 quid potentially to go to watch Millwall. I've got a season ticket. I don't pay £32 a game. That is a lot of money, and I totally understand that of people debating whether I'm not to go or not. They've got kids and family, blah blah blah. But back to John Berylson's statement anyway. It was interesting. He name drops obviously the young players' influence. Obviously mentioning Billy Mitchell, Danny McNamara, and Tyler Bury for the impact on the senior side, and he also name drops Sat Lovelace and a few others in there. But it was interesting. The key line there, obviously, I spoke about the attendances and getting more people in, but he did turn around and go, "There are games to play and to win between now and May, and who knows where we'll end up. I think that is exciting, and then we can look forward to a big summer for the club in terms of recruitment and squad building ahead of 2022-23. Thoughts? You're gonna be a cynic here. Go on, tell me.
No, I'm not going to be. Listen, we've been following. I've been following Millwall a long time, and that's not the first time we've had those lines. It's as if when statements are written by the club, they've got a library of statements, and they just go, right, we pick that sentence from there, and we'll have that sentence from there, and we'll have that sentence from there, and have that sentence from there, and we put them all together and we make a statement. And it's it's a bit like writing something for Google. Something what you want to get really well on Google. You write the keywords, what everybody wants. So the young players, we've all been talking about the young players most of this season. Give them a fucking chance. What's the point of having an academy if you're not going to give them a chance? Because we're not selling them for multi-million pounds. So you've got to give them a chance. And then you can sell them for multi-million pounds. We all know that recruitment's shit. We all know that there needs to be a heavy investment in the club. If both of those come off, fantastic. Do you know what? Fantastic. But if they don't, hey ho, it's where we've been every summer, every January for the last so many years. We're promised the
How
earth.
much is Danny McNamara worth if we sold him today? Out of interest. A question to the people watching as well.
I reckon looking at him, looking at the potential and all that in the current market, it's got to be 10 to 15.
Oh, you've gone really ambitious there. I was going to say 2 to 5 if he keeps playing the form he's playing, because he's going to have a full season of championship under his belt and looking really competent at this level. 10 to 15 is the milestone we all aim for one day, definitely. I think at least £2 to £5 million if he plays consistently
Really?
at the end of the season. At least, I'm saying that is like
okay. Let me just spin it on its head a bit. How much do you think it would cost to find a replacement, Danny Mac?
£2 to £5 million, probably. That's my point. Like, I think at the going market rate, and this is why it's a little bit off topic, but I'm happy that we're getting the youngsters playing. And if anything, Bury playing is kind of forced on the manager because he didn't really fancy him, I don't think. Well, he did, but now he's given the opportunity to play. And I think the same goes to McNamara. He fancied Ryan Leonard at right back at one point in the season, but because Leonard's injured, Danny Mack's playing. And you're seeing these players playing, they're actually doing the business. And the same with Billy Mitchell. He even tried to play Saville and Evans or Keith and Bell Evans. He didn't really see a place for Mitchell at the start of the season, and he forced his way in, and he now doesn't drop him. And look, these are players that have got the opportunity to play, and they're impressing. I think you can't.
Well, they've got the opportunity, and they've gone. Thank you very much. Now fuck off. You're not having my shirt back.
And
I'm going to be on that shirt on that sheet every week.
And to tie back into JB's statement, he's mentioning the youngsters, and I hope. And I know what you're saying. Like, it could have been ghostwrited or blah 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 blah. But the point is the chairman is talking about young players in the side. There's got to be a directive now. The club's got to move forward to, and I've banged the drum about this all the time, saying there's no clear directive of how the club is going to cope.
But I think that
before the manager and after the manager. But if this is the directive now we're going, where we're saying youngsters have to be in the squads, make them valuable assets, and one day perhaps sell them in for a profit, and then reinvest that money into more players. Winner, chicken dinner, I think, in my opinion, because that's how we're going to compete at this level. But also, he's mentioning the recruitment, Mickey, because I don't think we often see the chairman say stuff like that. It is a big summer coming, and if he's saying it, you've got to take it at least with a bit of kind of belief that we're going to give it a go in the summer, especially if we're in the right area.
I think I'm cynical because I think over the last so many years, I've with the AMS battle, etc. And I'm not going to say
I agree with you. I understand.
I think PR is what the world's all about. Football, especially, works to PR because it's a big business. If you've got some bad wins and then people drop off, it's about making sure you get people back. And you're not going to get people back if you're playing shit. If you're playing well, you get people back. So I understand this. Come on, we need you. I understand all that. And John's probably said a lot of that, but there's artistic license about what he said, and it's always put together and everything else. That is what it is. But I do agree with what you're saying about recruitment and all that, because the club is obviously looking at focusing on the youth. Because at the moment we've got the academy, I think, or used to be a Blackheath Rugby Club. They lease part of the building and they do the academy there. They've got the other bit over at Bromley, Calmont Road, and they're moving everything closer to Brands Hatch on a purpose-built, state of the art, fucking as much as state of the art is for Millwall. New facility where we're going to have the academy, we're going to have the youth setup, we're going to have the first team training, we're going to have everything all in one place. The media hub's going to be there, the office space, because everything else at the moment is all over the place. It's all done. So, realistically, that is going to be absolutely massive to have academy first team thing. They'll be able to see the players, probably be able to play games more together, and everybody's going to be together and be able to chat about games, etc., which is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic news. And I do believe that there are good things coming, but it is Millwall, and some days we do get far too ahead of ourselves, and we get brought down to the back down to earth with a bump. But do I think Millwall in the summer is going to start spending £20 million? Probably not. But even if we can get 5 million to spend on a couple of players, then you know what, that to me would be a good summer spending, with the fact that we're probably going to invest 10 million maybe in that new training facility, maybe 5-10 million by the time you take in development and everything else and staffing. I think there are good times coming. But yeah.
How old is John Belson? Do you reckon?
74, I think. 73 might be. When I was down the reports, yeah? I think when I was thinking, I think he was 67, 68. I think he's 70, maybe just over 70 now, maybe. Yeah, 67.
So my question is, how long?
His boy's going to take over afterwards. Well, he sort of put a fund. He sort of put a trust thing. Is so
how
that
much
whatever happens, it will go.
So, like, if the worst case was, say, Son didn't want anything to do with it afterwards, because we don't really see much of his son. Like, there's no kind of handing over period that seems present. So I don't think it's anytime soon he's going to sell the club. But is it maybe a case of he's putting money in now in the infrastructure? Making sure we've got a training ground that we own. We don't own the stadium, obviously. So that's not really an asset for the club. Training ground, youth players that are coming in for a bit of value, try and make them a valuable asset in the championship, and then obviously develop the team and then try and build the club. And obviously we know about renewal and the development coming, and we're not stupid. So we're not stupid about that in the slightest. Who said that? Wankers.
They're going to be sitting. Someone's going to be listening to this in the car, and they'll be going to go down the road, and all of a sudden they're going to go, Wankers. Who said that? What have I done? I haven't done nothing. But yeah.
But we know, obviously, he's a businessman at the end of the day, and we're thankful for him for writing his losses off every year with us and putting them back in the money that's missing every year on the balance sheet. But long term, you've got to think, is he starting to plot his exit strategy for the club? He's obviously going to leave us in a better place than we found us, and it benefits us in the long term. Tick, tick, tick. We don't mind that. But is he starting to play his exit strategy?
I don't know if there's an listen, in all the time I've been wrapped around the club and wrapped around him and speaking to him and everything else, I've never, ever sussed out what the exit strategy is. And it's something what I've always questioned. I mean, the fella's put best part of £90 million into the club. And is he going to get that back from the regen alone? Probably not. Where, he ain't going to sell the club for that money. So exit strategy, I don't really know where there is one. What I do know is what he's told me plenty of times is he wants to make the club self-sufficient, and buying us our own training facility and making it nice. By the way, Omar's not having packets. Those of you who are listening to it as a podcast.
I'm muted now. I've muted myself the whole show through.
just for the bit of it there, because I'm not going to edit it out. And I think with having a better training facility and something that looks good to the eye is going to attract more younger players coming in. At the moment, if I was taking my boy, yes, I'd want my boy to play for Millwall, or even my girl to play for Millwall. But if my first view of Millwall was Calmont Road, I would be looking and going, oh, hello. Do you know what I mean? Compared to maybe some other teams locally, you'll be like, oh, hello, it doesn't look the best. But once you get a new thing, all of a sudden, everything else could fall into place on the back of it. And then once the regen and some of the things what are allegedly going to be in place for their benefits for us, the fans, with some bits planned, as long as they come off in the plans and they're not, and they're still in the plans, it's going to be superb. If we can get that regen done, so, certain people need to pull the finger out, not the club. Certain people need to pull the finger out and get that deal, get the deal agreed with Millwall. Then, the future's bright. The future does look fucking good. And if
So
we
I don't
can
want to play
make
devil's advocate, Mickey, right? I love Hamilton. Great for everything he's done for us and doing for us, and hopefully for a few more years does that. But like I said, is there an exit strategy there? We don't know. We've said that. However, also, why is which is obviously, if you read online or you're on a forum or even on Twitter, it was on there, the Millwall Trust is recirculating as well. And that isn't the whole subject for a whole another day. And we're waiting for a lot of information to come out on that. And it's something I definitely will take an interest in, because something I missed from before, because I was only 10 years old when the Millwall Trust was founded, or when it was kind of put to a head under the Savoury and stuff like that. And it's definitely something I personally take an interest in and look at too.
Me too.
But it seems like it's instigated. The club seems to be involved with it as well, obviously, because Steve Kavanagh's meant to have kind of been involved with this. And I'm not really well educated in this whole subject, but obviously I'd love to learn more about it when we hear about it. And I know there's meant to be some content coming out about it in the near future from other channels that can't be named. If you've got the joke there, anyone. But also, I just wonder, is that all coming up because something's going to happen in the near future, or the short to near long-term future? Let's just, I'm putting my devil's advocate hat on here.
Yeah, I think.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, thanks for that. You're probably right there, but no, I think I think Kavanagh, I think the MSC, I think Phil Clark's been looking at the trust. I think a lot of the trust stuff's come from Tracy Crouch's review into fan-led review about football. They're looking to try and create a shadow board of fan experts to a degree. So you'd have a fan who helps oversee retail, someone else who oversees something else and something else and something else. So they're sort of shadowing the official board with the directors and stuff. So you'd have maybe someone who possibly specialises in communication who will shadow like Billy's role and Stuart's role, someone who would there. You're not going to have necessarily. You'll have someone who will probably shadow sort of stage role as such, sort of within the fan base. They've got no control over the club, but they're there to offer support. It's like a secondary support bracket. It's not a fan group, and it's
I'm not educated on the subject
there.
But
that's what it's trying to do.
It's a good thing, isn't it? It's definitely it's good.
The fan-led review's good. Apart from the Premiership at the moment, is already paying hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pounds on lobbyists and lawyers to basically rip it apart and say there's no way you're going to get a golden share, and there's no way you're getting a fucking a shadow board. You're not getting any involvement in the running of the Premier League, which I think is quite naive. I think you've got to look at these clubs and go, look, we're never going to run like the German model. I think we probably have to do this onto another show. We'll touch it slightly, but I think running on time, we'll do this on another show. We're never going to be like the German model. So the German model, the fans own 50% of the club, and then there's a 1%. So there's like a golden 1% where the fans have a golden 1%. It doesn't give them overall ownership of the club, but they do have a veto and whatnot to go into that side of it. And I think that if we move along there, then it will stop the likes of Hull, Derby, and different clubs what have been, absolutely fucked over by people who take ownership. Because the problem you've got is people go, well, why are you hitting the club with with 12 points deduction and this many points deduction and all that? Well, unfortunately, when people own a football club, they pay the license to be able to trade in the football league. And the only thing the FA's got is they can't take that club away from the person who owns it. The only thing they've got is to go, well, fuck you then. If you're not going to behave yourself, we'll take the points and we'll force you down. and
And they
then
also fine them as
you'll end
well,
up,
mate.
yeah, and then you'll go down, 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 down until you basically don't have a club anymore. And the EFL, the FA, as much as they say, "Oh, we don't want that," well, you could figure out another way, make it, own the clubs are owned potentially by fans, and then we just basically have, and they sort of lease the club to a degree, because we all know people who own the club, same as John Berylson, Steve Kavanagh, etc., etc. They are custodians of our club. They don't own it, and they'll be here for a set period of time, and then they fuck off and do something else. I think Steve Kavanagh's been at Southend, he's been at Charlton. Football, being CEO of football clubs is what his job is. Same as mine, sales and everything else. So I think Tracy Crouch's approach is right.
This has gone from a conversation to a lecture with Mickey, by the way.
No, it's not a lecture.
At one point, I'm going to get my word back into the conversation.
Go on.
No, I was just making a little point to it because I wanted to tie it back into Millwall, and I think we definitely do a show about it in the future once we know more information about the trust. And like I said, I'll reiterate, I think it's a good idea.
I tried to get the trust ages ago with AMS, and the people who were in charge of the trust parred it. When we first,
it's nice to have transparency and hold the clubs accountable. And I know you're talking. You mentioned about 7 minutes into your little ramble there about Premier League clubs and stuff. Forget everyone else. Obviously, it's good that everyone should follow suit, and it should try and be a transparent thing across the border. But I think from a Millwall point of view, and being selfish right now, it's just interesting times. I think, and that's all. I think. It's been a kind of a ramble show a little bit, and we'll do a bit about Blackburn, I suppose, now, Mickey, before we wrap things up, and obviously look forward to the weekend. But I just think it's an interesting time for the club where there was obviously a lot of uncertainty 3 or 4 years ago about the CPO and Lewisham. And now it's like we've kind of feel like we've kind of gone through that, even though it feels like it's still lurking in the background a little bit.
I think it is still lurking.
We all know it's lurking. We're not naive enough to think it's done with. But at the same time, it's quite exciting times for the club to, we're on a level playing field, and we've sustained ourselves in the Championship for 4 or 5 years. And typically, with during relegation, doesn't seem like it's going to be this year. Hopefully, it's not next year, and we can just try and make this our level playing field to kick on. And I think that's what's the exciting part of it, really. And I think it's just good times for the club, mate. I really do. So let's do a bit about Blackburn.
Absolutely, let's do a bit about Blackburn. We'll be back straight after this. Welcome back. Part 2, the final part. This is where we're going to talk about Blackburn. One of the reasons why Kai ain't with us today is because Kai is already in sunny Blackpool, ready for a little break, and then he's going down to Blackburn on Saturday. So when you're listening to this, Kai, hello, you are missed. We can't wait to have you back on the weekend show. And he is doing us a match report for the Blackburn game. But coming in, Blackburn, give us all the stats and whatnot then, Omar. Tell us what's going to happen.
Well, we already established that Kai doesn't listen to our shows back. So if Kai, if you are listening, I feel sorry for you having a few days in Blackpool with the Storm Eunice brewing. So Kai, if you're listening at this point, be sure to correct me in our WhatsApp chat and say, you listen to the show. But with 53 minutes into our show, I don't think he's listening, Mickey. I hate to break it to you.
No, I'd also give just one thing. I'd also give a hint to fans listening. If you see somewhere advertising a cheap weekend break, sometimes it being cheap doesn't necessarily make it a good one.
Well, with that said, though, like we've also you kind of a little bit off topic again. We've got Easter Friday, Preston away. Yeah, and I was looking into going because I'm going to do it because my pal's not done Preston before and wants to hit the ground off, as they say. There's no trains up on the Friday. There's trains up on the Thursday and train back on the Saturday. But Easter Friday is engineering works. So we've currently got the prospect of potentially a night in Preston, maybe 2, mate. So, like
really
cheap breaks.
Preston's not really the place you want to spend more than an hour and a half of football.
They've got a Potwell though, so hey, you know what I mean. So if you don't know what Potwell is, you have to Google it and find out.
No. You can explain to the listeners for those living in Australia, America, Indonesia, the Philippines, Malaysia. Shall I keep going? But we won't. But come on, explain what is Potwell. Is it a bit like? Oh, is it?
It's a club.
Oh, okay.
It's that plays cheesy music dating to the 90s. You'll love it, mate. It's probably when you were about 30 in the 90s, so it's all good.
You're fucking as bad as my kids. You know what I mean? Fucking Do you know what I mean?
Blackburn, come
And
on, let's go
again,
back to it. Blackburn, and if you are going Preston, FYI, there's no trains on the Friday. If you've got a route around it to get up there, do sure to let me know. Get in touch with me. Be great to know
if you're
on Twitter.
if you're running a coach up there and back, Omar wants to come on the coach.
Nah, I'm not doing coaches, mate. That's about a 6-hour coach journey. No chance. No chance. But yeah, Blackburn, they're about winning 4 games, Mickey. Ben Brereton Diaz is also ruled out of Saturday's game. He's their talisman. He's not played the last few games for them either.
And
Kind of coincided with their poor run of form as well, mate. So
is that fella who changed his name?
Ben Brereton Diaz, yeah. But he was Ben Brereton. He's their top goal scorer at the club, obviously. Scored a lot of goals for them. And he's not played. I think he played against West Brom, if I'm not mistaken. But he's kind of picked up a knock, and it's coincided with their run of form kind of nosediving. And they're going to need other players to step up to the plate. Obviously, Sam Gallagher's a good player, the striker they've got there at the club. It's going to be a tricky game. I'm not expecting us to put up any strings against the likes of Blackburn. But with that said, we've had a couple of good games away to them in previous years. I remember under lockdown, I think we drew 2-2 there, didn't we? The year before last. And I think they're the sort of team, Blackburn, that you can get at them. Similar to QPR, you know, we had the chance to score against them because they came out and played against us. Similar sort of performance, I think, will be expected against Blackburn, and hopefully we'll come out on top, mate.
If we played like we did Tuesday, I think it's game on.
Yeah, I agree.
And that geezer who's got a double round, that's the one who played for Colombia, isn't it?
No, close. Chile.
That's it. Yeah.
Chile.
Sorry. Yeah.
Chile. Come on, Chile.
We're Chile, innit? Innit? Chile,
Yeah.
innit? That's it, innit?
We actually lost that game 2-1 during lockdown, but I remember it being a really kind of end-to-end game. Lots of chances, lots of opportunities for us to score, and I think Adam Armstrong scored in the 90th minute. He did indeed. There you go. But we've always seen goals against Blackburn, and especially on the Tony Mowbray side, that they like to play attacking football at home. And I think it's just going to be a game suited well to us to try and pick off on the break. We've seen us on Tuesday night in the second half play a lot without the ball. When we get it, just play with kind of decisiveness. And I think same team again that finished the game, and just give it a go, mate. And if that's all we ask for, and if as long as we get that, we won't be far off. Hopefully, putting performance in that we're not expecting the win, like I said, but if we turn up like we did Tuesday, I'd fancy us against any side in this league.
I totally agree with you. If we played like we did Tuesday, I think anyone is beatable. And if we can go back to that and keeping clean sheets, then fucking hey ho, we are exciting, and we'll have more bums and seats. So I think we pretty much more.
What's the score prediction? Come on, what's the score prediction?
2-1
to Millwall.
Yeah.
To keep with the whole reverse psychology or playing down stuff, it's going to be a 2-1 win to Blackburn on Saturday. But if you listen to our podcast a lot and you know how I am, who we can live in hope.
Just out of interest, there, did you have show notes there, or were you just reading from the website for the stat bits? Just the last bit a minute ago, where you were reading like down, and then you just suddenly went, "Oh yeah, I was right, 2-1," or
So I was looking at stats in front of me.
Oh, okay, I was just
if you're not the score lines, but then when I delve into it, when I say, "Oh, we lost 2-1 in the end," actually. I remember it was Armstrong scored 90th minute, and I then clicked on it and go, "Oh yeah, it wasn't Armstrong that scored it."
So those of you listening to a podcast, have a look at it when it goes on YouTube, or watch it when it goes on early onto Recast, and then you'll also see that.
How could you digging me out, by the way?
Listen, it's normally me, mate, who gets dug out when I'm not on the show. So fucking game on, mate. You'll find now that on Recast will cost you the price of watching one advert. If you want to watch our stuff on Recast early, it will cost you the price of one advert. So you watch an advert for 10 credits, and then you will be able to watch ours for that 10 credits. So it's not actually going to cost you any money, anything else as such, to watch our shows early. They will go up earlier, at least 24 hours, sometimes 48 hours earlier than they go onto YouTube. And sometimes they might go up a bit earlier than they get released on the pod. So if you do want to watch it, it will only cost you 10 credits. So in theory, it's not going to cost you anything. YouTube, thank you very much for everyone watching us on YouTube. You are helping us hit all the right numbers for there, and you're helping us hit that algorithm, that magic algorithm. Fuck knows how it works, but it seems to be doing the right things. Make sure you press the subscribe button, and make sure you press the notification bell. That way, it just helps us get more in front of more people, really, and it makes us feel good. I don't know how much it really works, but it does make us feel good on the morning chat. when we've got some more subscribers and comments. So that's all good.
We don't do it for the comments and subscribers, but we do it for the interactions. Like the comments are great for, but it's great. I love having people grab me at the pub or at the games and going, "Oh, I listen to your podcast and stuff like that." And if you do and you ever see me, I mean, I don't think I'm quite a distinctive fella. I probably don't stand out a lot. I mean, Mickey stands out more than me, probably, I imagine, for obvious reasons. But
you probably know me for being your ex-fan on the board. You know, number 2, only the second ever fan on the board, and I killed the position. So you know, because there ain't one after me, it's now Shona and employed by the club.
But with that said, if there's anything either you guys want to get into contact with us or just have a beer with us one day, if you ever see us, we're always there. So and I know there's people that have interested coming on. And
we've got 2 people there. We are looking at the next international break of doing a roundtable style show with some new voices. So we've got a couple in. There's a couple more spaces. So if you do want to get involved in that, please drop us a DM and get in touch, or even go on in our bio. You can see ways of getting hold of us. And also, if you look in our bio now, there's a link there on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, etc. Click on the bio and that'll open up. There's loads of information in there. You can just obviously stick it on your phone, but that does give you loads of updates for all the websites, what are focusing on Millwall, News at Den, South London Press, Millwall website, etc., etc. And also right at the top, there is a way where you can leave us a voicemail. If you want to leave us a voice message, what will get you straight on the show instantly on the next available show, it's there. It's a bit like another show does, but instead of a voicemail, it's a voice message, and it's easy to do. You don't need to fucking remember any telephone number, just press a button. But look, that's us for another few days, I suppose, until we come back, and hopefully we're talking about the victory at Blackburn, and hopefully young Kai hasn't been blown away walking down Blackpool seafront, and hopefully come Sunday, my co-presenter Omar will no longer have this horrible, horrible condition called man flu.
Yes, it's very prominent, and the drugs are helping. The safe drugs, I promise. But it's very prominent in a
minute. And just to let you know, the gym session's coming to the end of the second week, and we've done every gym session we've needed. We're back there again tomorrow about 7 o'clock in the morning. We're going to pump some iron. We are looking like mean bitches for the summer already. So look, thanks very much for listening. Remember, we can't do this without you. Keep clicking, keep saying how much we're great, and we'll see you Sunday. Up the Lions.
1 hour with you. How have I lasted that?